The fire lit up the night sky like a cruel beacon, devouring the Parker family's farmhouse in minutes. Neighbors from miles away could see the flames rising into the dark, the smoke stretching like a black scar against the stars. And in the middle of the dirt road stood Sarah Parker, her face streaked with ash and tears, clutching her younger brother's hand. Her home, the place where she had grown up, where every memory of her late parents still lived, was gone. And it hadn't been an accident. The boys from town had always mocked Sarah for being different. Her family's farm sat on the edge of the community, and whispers about their background followed her through school. They called her names, made cruel jokes about her heritage, and when she married David, a decorated Delta Force soldier, the resentment only grew. To them, she didn't belong, and neither did he. That night their hatred finally boiled over into something unforgivable. Earlier that day, Sarah had gone into town for supplies. The glares were sharper than usual, the muttered insults louder. She kept her head down, as she always did. She had learned to survive by staying quiet, by not drawing attention. But when she returned home, she noticed unfamiliar tire tracks in the dirt road. She ignored them at first, until night fell, and the smell of gasoline reached her porch. By the time she ran outside, the barn was already engulfed. Within minutes, the flames spread to the house. She grabbed her younger brother, shouting for him to run, but the fire swallowed everything behind them. And in the shadows, just beyond the tree line, she could see them, the bullies, laughing, pointing, watching her life burn down. Sarah's knees buckled. She wanted to scream, to fight, but she was helpless against fire and hatred. For the first time, she felt truly broken. But what the bullies didn't know was that her husband, David, was coming home that night. He had been away on a deployment overseas, his missions classified, his return unannounced. Sarah hadn't even told her brother yet, hoping to surprise him. When his truck pulled up the gravel road, headlights cutting through the smoke, he froze at the sight of the flames. Then he saw Sarah and Daniel standing in the dirt, trembling but alive. And behind them, just barely visible, the figures of the men who had done this. David stepped out of the truck without a word. His presence alone was enough to shift the air. Broad-shouldered, calm, and deadly when he needed to be, David was not a man to provoke. He walked to Sarah first, pulling her into his arms, whispering, "I've got you. I promise. You're safe now." Then he turned to the shadows. The bullies hadn't expected him. They thought Sarah's husband was still overseas, far from reach. But now he was here, and there was no escape from the storm they had awakened. David moved forward, his voice steady but cold. "Step out. All of you." One by one, they revealed themselves. Young men with arrogance in their eyes but fear building in their chests. They muttered excuses, tried to laugh it off, but David didn't flinch. He had spent years facing men far more dangerous than them. And he knew when cowards hid behind bravado. "You think burning down a woman's home makes you strong?" David's voice cut through the night. "Let me show you what real strength looks like." When one of them tried to run, David caught him easily, twisting his arm behind his back and forcing him to the ground. Another lunged forward, fist swinging, but within seconds he was gasping in the dirt, knocked down with surgical precision. The others froze, realizing they weren't facing just a soldier. They were facing a Delta Force operator, trained for the harshest, most impossible missions. David didn't go too far. He could have broken them. Instead, he chose control. He restrained them, made them taste fear without crossing the line into cruelty. And when they were all on the ground, coughing, bruised, humiliated, he leaned down close enough for them to hear every word. "You thought she was alone. She never is. You thought you could burn her home. But you can't burn her spirit. And tonight, you've shown the whole world how weak you really are." The bullies had no answer. Their hatred had always been louder than their courage. Now, with sirens wailing in the distance, neighbors had called the sheriff. They scrambled to their feet and fled into the darkness. Their arrogance burned away along with the house they had destroyed. Sarah stood silently, watching it all. The fire was still roaring, her memories turning to ash, but for the first time that night, she felt something stronger than fear. Safety. David wrapped an arm around her and Daniel, pulling them close. "We'll rebuild," he said softly. Together. In the weeks that followed, neighbors who had once ignored her began showing up to help. Some brought food, others tools, and a few even offered land for shelter. The sheriff's office caught up with the bullies, and justice was served. But what Sarah remembered most was not the fire, not the hate, not the loss. It was the moment her husband came home. Not just as a soldier, but as her protector, her partner. Her strength when she had none left. The house was gone, but the family wasn't broken. Together, they rebuilt piece by piece. And in the end, Sarah learned something she would carry forever. Homes can burn. Memories can fade. But courage, love, and the will to stand together can never be destroyed.